Once upon a time in a quiet neighborhood, there lived two children, Edgar and Sibo. They were neighbors and best friends, bound by their shared experiences of growing up in homes where their parents were always occupied with work. Despite being 2 years older than Edgar, Sibo was in the same class as him. She was intelligent and hardworking, often excelling in her studies. She frequently visited Edgar's home after school, and they would study together in a secluded spot outside the house where it was peaceful and quiet. Edgar and Sibo longed for attention from their parents, but their parents were always too busy with work, leaving them to navigate life mostly on their own. One day, while at school, they overheard some classmates discussing the excitement of watching movies at the cinema. The children's vivid descriptions of the large screen, the bright lights, and the thrilling atmosphere intrigued Sibo and Edgar. They decided to experience it for themselves. Their first visit to the cinema was exhilarating. The giant screen, the booming sound, and the magical world of moving pictures fascinated them. Soon, going to the cinema after school became a habit. Every day, they eagerly rushed to the theater, watching all kinds of movies. They found joy and escape in the stories unfolding on the screen, forgetting about their studies and responsibilities. At first, they watched animated films and adventure stories, but soon their curiosity led them to more mature films. The cinema had become their secret world, a place where they could escape from their lonely realities. Their favorite seats were in the back corner, away from prying eyes, where they could talk in whispers and share their thoughts freely. One evening, as they sat in the dimly lit theater, a romantic scene appeared on the screen. They watched as the actors embraced and kissed each other passionately. Sibo, filled with curiosity, turned to Edgar and asked if they should try what they had just seen. Edgar hesitated, feeling a strange mix of emotions, fear, excitement, and confusion. He refused, but Sibo could not get the scene out of her mind. From that moment on, their innocent friendship started changing. When they were alone, they found it difficult to concentrate on their studies. Their minds drifted back to the scenes from the cinema. Their performance at school deteriorated, but their parents were too preoccupied with work to notice. Sibo, who had once been the top student in the class, started struggling with her grades. Edgar, too, found himself unable to focus. Their teachers began to notice. Miss and Jerry, their class teacher, called them aside one afternoon. "Is everything okay? You two seem distracted lately," she asked gently. Sibo avoided eye contact, while Edgar fidgeted with his hands. "We're fine, miss," he muttered. But Miss and Jerry was not convinced. She knew them as bright, ambitious students, and she sensed something was wrong. She decided to notify their parents. One day, they decided to stay out later than usual. It was a Saturday, and they wanted to watch a late-night movie. The theater was darker than usual, and the air was filled with a sense of excitement. As the romantic movie played on the screen, their hearts started beating faster. Sibo moved closer to Edgar, and just as their lips were about to meet, the theater lights came on, signaling the end of the movie. Embarrassed and nervous, they rushed out of the cinema and hurried back home. That night, Sibo lay awake, her mind racing. She felt confused and unsure about the emotions stirring within her. Edgar, too, could not sleep. He wondered if they had crossed a line in their friendship. When they arrived home, their parents were still not back from work. They went straight to bed, overwhelmed with emotions they did not fully understand. The following morning, Sibo visited Edgar's house as usual. They went to their quiet place, but instead of studying, Sibo reached for Edgar's hand and touched him affectionately. Edgar felt uneasy but did not resist. As they were about to kiss, Edgar's mother appeared unexpectedly. She stood frozen, her eyes wide with shock. "What is going on here?" she demanded. Her voice was firm yet filled with concern. Sibo and Edgar looked down, unable to speak. Edgar's mother called her husband, and soon after, Sibo's parents arrived as well. The four adults sat their children down for a serious conversation. "Have you noticed any changes in their behavior?" Edgar's mother asked the others. Sibo's mother sighed. "I received a letter from school yesterday. Sibo's performance has dropped significantly. She used to be the best student in her class. I also heard from some parents that she and Edgar have been going to the cinema frequently." The realization hit the parents hard. They had been so consumed with their jobs and responsibilities that they had neglected their children's emotional and moral development. They had assumed that providing financial stability was enough, forgetting that their children needed their presence and guidance. After a long discussion, they asked Edgar and Sibo why they had been sneaking off to the cinema so often. The children hesitated, but eventually admitted the truth. "We felt lonely," Edgar confessed. "You're always busy, and we wanted something to keep us entertained." Sibo added, "At first it was fun, but then we started seeing things that confused us. We didn't know how to deal with those feelings." Tears welled up in Sibo's mother's eyes. She realized how much her daughter needed her, not just as a provider, but as a mentor and a guide in life. Edgar's parents felt the same guilt. They had been so focused on work that they had forgotten to nurture their son's emotional and social well-being. From that day on, the parents made a commitment to be more involved in their children's lives. They set aside time every evening to talk, play, and study with them. Weekend became family days where they would engage in meaningful activities together. Slowly, Sibo and Edgar returned to their studies with renewed focus. Their performance improved, and they regained their confidence. They also understood the importance of patience and emotional maturity in relationships. As the months passed, their bond as friends strengthened once again, but this time with a clearer understanding of the difference between friendship and emotional curiosity. They still enjoyed watching movies, but now they did so with their families, learning how to process and discuss what they saw in a responsible manner. Their teachers also noticed a change. They were more engaged in class, asking insightful questions, and performing better in their assignments. Their principal commended their improvement, and during a parents' meeting, their story was shared as an example of how parental involvement is crucial in shaping a child's future. This story serves as a lesson for parents, guardians, and leaders. Children do not only need financial support, they need emotional guidance, presence, and love. When left unguided, they can fall into distractions that may negatively shape their future. Leaders in society must advocate for family values and encourage a culture where parents balance work and family life. Schools should also take an active role in guiding children, not only academically but emotionally and morally as well. In the end, Sibo and Edgar learned a valuable lesson, but more importantly, so did their parents. The journey of parenthood is not just about providing. It is about being present, listening, and guiding children to the challenges of growing up. The experience changed their family dynamics, making their bond stronger and ensuring a better future for Sibo and Edgar, and in their neighborhood. Other families began to take notice, starting conversations about spending quality time with their children and ensuring they grew up with the right values.